Welcome to the Foster Medina podcast series, where you'll hear from foster families who overcame their own fears and made the decision to make a difference. If you're thinking about becoming a foster parent, this podcast may provide the answers you are looking for. Now here's your host, Bryan Lefelhoc.
Hello, and welcome to the Foster Medina podcast, where we discuss real issues, real challenges, and real successes about becoming and being a foster parent. My name is Bryan Lefelhoc, and on behalf of the Medina County Job and Family Services, I'm happy to host this series about becoming a foster parent. It's a calling that can change your life and the life of a child or children who need a family and a home. There are children waiting for a family right here in Medina County, and really anywhere that you're watching this show. They're waiting for you to bring them in, to support them, to care for them, and to love them. And it's an amazing and truly great thing for you to do. But that's not what this show is all about. So rather than me spending a lot of time telling you how wonderful being a foster parent can be and really is, we want to focus on getting you there in the first place. If you or someone you know is considering becoming a foster parent, then we know, and you have a decision to make. It's a big decision, and it's an impactful decision. And either way, yes or no, that decision is going to make a lasting impact on a lot of different lives. So we want to help you make a good one. And in our experience at Medina County Job and Family Services, we find most families worry about a few of the same things, so much sometimes that it can get in the way of actually taking that first step or even reaching out to learn more. Things like, I'm worried I won't have time for this, or I'm concerned about the cost. There's a list of, we call them myths. We call it there, and they're on the fostermedina.com website. You can take a look at all of the different ones that we've kind of identified over time. These are myths because maybe they're unfounded concerns, but that does not mean that you're wrong to wonder about them. You're actually right to wonder about them. It means you want to make the right decision and you need answers, and that's good for you. So today we want to talk to you about one of those concerns. The concern is about a potential foster parent's family, their kids, their spouse, their current intact family, and how becoming a foster parent will actually impact those people and their relationships. And we're about to meet a foster parent who did worry about these things, and we're going to learn the real issues and the real outcomes. First, the fact about that subject, the fact that you're worried about your children, you're worried about your spouse and your current family, it's a real consideration. It's a real concern, and you should be concerned about it, but you should also know that it works both ways. It more often than not, in our experience at Medina County Job and Family Services and fostermedina.com, and more often than not, it actually enriches a child's kind of worldview and viewpoint on life, and it helps them to kind of understand the world around them and maybe even increase their compassion and empathy for their peers and for other children. And it can actually be a positive change and a positive impact on others in your family. And that's a really good, perhaps different, and hopefully inspiring way to look at it. So don't let those fears get you down. Look into them a little deeper, and let's dive right in. As you can see, myths aren't always supported by truth. And so we're going to find out about that more with our guest, Destinee Lashley. Destinee and her husband have been foster parents now for going on 4 years, and they have helped to foster 14 children in that time. I am honored to be speaking with you, Destinee Lashley. Welcome to the Foster Medina podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm really glad you're here. I know it takes a lot of vulnerability and the willingness to open up and share, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that other foster and potential foster parents will appreciate it as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to me, Destinee, then about the concerns you had, specifically maybe about the impact on your current family. Before you became a foster parent, what were you thinking? What were you afraid might happen if you were to become a foster parent?
That is a real, it was really weighed heavily on both my and my husband's hearts when we first started this journey. That was probably our biggest concern when we first started was, what is the impact going to be with our home, with our kids? How are they going to handle it? Communicate. That was our biggest thing with them. When we first started the process, we sat them down, we had a conversation with them. Obviously me and my husband had communicated about this too a lot prior to that, but just making sure that you're all on the same page, just that open line of communication. That's all I guess I can really talk about is just, and having it continuously through the whole process, because at the beginning, yes, there's a lot of unknowns. You don't exactly know what the process is going to be, how long it's going to take, when you might get your first placement. But then just keeping that communication open throughout the entire time to make sure that as, a placement may, leave your home or a new one comes in, you're just knowing where everybody's at to make sure that you are able to provide the best for everybody and keeping your family unit together as you're going through it.
Yeah, so you're making sure everyone is satisfied and happy and getting what they need to get out of this, and that there aren't any uncommunicated issues or problems, and people are being real open. If you don't mind sharing, if you can remember back, what worst case scenario, what did you think could happen when you were afraid of something? What specifically might you have been afraid of? This is what's going to happen to my family. This is the problem that's going to happen. Do you remember what that was?
Not like the specifics, but I was worried, like a lot of what you hear is like, obviously when somebody leaves, which obviously is a great thing for them, that, that reunification or even just reunifying with family, it is awesome for them to have that. But then you worry about, okay, well, how are the kids going to take it? There is a grieving process, depending on how long they've been in your home, that you all will go through, because you do lose somebody that you have grown really attached to. They're there all the time. You have all these activities, these things that you're doing with them, and they're included in your day to day. So then when they're not there and you're not having to go, oh wait, I have to do this for. There's like it's a adjustment that you have to make. But at that time, I was worried about how they would handle the kids coming in or leaving, and how that would affect them emotionally. And that was probably my biggest concern with them. And then kind of like how I would respond, because you do, they come in and in our, everyone's home, but you treat them like your own. They're yours, even though they're not. They're yours essentially for that moment, and you care for them and you provide for them just like you would your own. So it was like, well, how am I going to respond? So there was a lot of that concern for me with that.
So that's a little bit like another one of the myths that is on the myths sheet that you can download at fostermedina.com. It talks about becoming too attached and not being able to let go. And it's the same kind of issue, but you're thinking as much for yourself as a parent as for your kids. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Do you mind sharing with me? You've had 14 foster kids. I'm assuming that you still don't have all 14, that it's been part of the process. Can you share with me some of your kids' reactions and real life experiences to that fear and watching those family members kind of go away?
There's a lot of tears.
Yeah.
Anybody at the agency will attest this. I ugly cry every time one of them has to leave. And we just actually recently went through this about a week and a half ago, where one that has been in our home for a while had to move on. And it was really hard. They were a little older, so they were able to understand. And so we were all crying. The kids, they will bring them up and they'll say, oh, I miss them. Or, oh, I wish they could still be here. And there's a lot like that, and I think that's their way of grieving. We have pictures. We give them pictures of we try to get as many pictures together of them and print them out so that they have those memories to kind of like, oh, remember, to kind of focus on like the happier times, not necessarily the sad part that they're not here anymore, but the fact that they were here and we had these memories and these experiences with them. But and again, communicating, we talk about it and we say, it's okay to miss them. I miss them dearly, and it looks different for every house. I can't specifically, but ours specifically, like we communicate, we all will sit and cry together and just say how much we miss them, or just bring up the happy moments that we had, and just kind of enjoy that time that we did have them, that they were here, and focus on that rather than maybe the fact that they had to leave.
Yeah. And so it opens up, am I right to say it opens up an opportunity for your family to grow closer?
Yes, definitely.
What impact what change, what positive growth, and we're not trying to say one way or the other, what issues have your kids have? I'm assuming you seem like a really strong, tight-knit family. I'm assuming it's good, because I believe that foster care is good. I believe adoption care is good. I think God wants good things. And so I'm assuming it's good. But what has the impact been? What is the change, the dynamic in your current family over these 4 years and 14 different kids?
Definitely will say it's been good. It's not always good, but there's definitely been good. We've had a lot of, it has brought us together a lot more. We've always been close, but having those moments where we are just kind of vulnerable with each other and showing like it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to be excited for them that they are where they're at and things are working out or doing well, or just, and I mean, there have been some where we've had some moments that have not been. We've had, struggles where, especially with the younger ones, sometimes they don't always understand. And so, you sometimes might see a little bit of a moment of where they're just not sure how to process and understand it. And so just, I think sitting with them and just really, just letting them know it's okay to be sad or upset or, all the feelings, because there's so many feelings, and it's never just, I hate to say it's never always good, but it's not always bad either. There are, with anything, you have good and you have bad, but we try to focus on the positive that we made, that positive impact that we had, and loving them while they were here and caring for them and having that connection with them while they were here. And so definitely has brought us closer together, has definitely gave us that strong, solid communication. And yeah, like I said, try to focus on the positive, not always the negative, but it's not always rainbows and butterflies. So.
Well, and that's life, isn't it? Like we could shelter ourselves and stay in a room and not let anything touch us and not let anything hurt. Or we can live our life and we can make an impact and make a difference and do the things that we feel like are placed on our heart. And this might be a difficult question, but there are people listening right now or watching that are trying to decide whether they should do this or not. And they're saying, if I just don't click that button, if I don't make that call, I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. No one's going to leave my family. No one's going to leave me. I don't have to grieve. You made the difficult decision to take on that challenge and responsibility, knowing it was coming. What would your advice be for someone who's like, no, I'm just not going to put myself up for that, because you've seen the good on the other side? What would your advice be for someone who's worried, maybe thinking, I'm just going to say no, it's simpler and safer that way?
This is one of those moments where I feel like you have to step out of the comfort zone and press that button that says, I'm interested. Even if it's just to become just a support for some of maybe the families that are doing, have made that change to do fostering, or just, respite providers where you just kind of help out here and there, seeing that those kids come out and just open up and be kids, and just the smiles, the laughter, like you cannot, as a parent, that's the best thing possible. Like, it's making me a little emotional. Those are the moments that it just makes everything better. Like any trial or hurdle or obstacle you've had to go through, just watching those kids and them really just shining, it erases all that. It erases all that worry. They just, a lot of them come in and they have those, they don't know how to be a kid. So watching them just kind of be a kid and just play outside and just do what kids do. It really just, I won't say it makes it all go away, but for that moment, you're like, this is why I click that button. This is why I bridge that gap for them between, being able to reunify. It really just, there's no greater thing as a parent to see. And so to be able to do that for somebody else in a moment, even just as a temporary thing, it makes it all easier it makes all those obstacles and hurdles, running that marathon, if you will, it makes it just that, it's like, oh, okay, we're good. We're okay. Like, they're happy, they're thriving, they're being kids. And it really just is no greater moment as a parent to see them just like, okay, all right, we're good. We're out playing in the pool, or we're out playing on the playground, digging in dirt. We have a farm. So, we're outside a lot. So we do a lot of those activities that, maybe aren't as popular, where you're out playing in the dirt or the rocks, or, hiking in the back. Seeing them just have that moment of just, okay, I don't have to worry. I don't have to be on guard, and just, I can be and do all the things that I want to do and not have to worry and be concerned. It really, again, there's a lot of things that you could be worried about and question, but saying, yes, I wanted to do this was not one of those things that have ever second guessed ever.
I love that. I'm so happy for that. I've got a couple of kind of follow-up questions, final questions. I'm interested in the relationship with you and your husband, if you don't mind sharing. Is that improved? Stayed the same? Do you ever kind of, in the quiet of your own home, just kind of talk about the things that you've done over these last 4 years? Like, how has that relationship been impacted?
It has definitely. We've had our lot of long conversations.
Every husband and wife does.
It's definitely got we have definitely gotten more, I think, communicating wise. We did communicate well before, but I think all of this too has brought like a lot of different things that you might not necessarily had in a normal conversation. There's a lot of when you fill out your packet to become a foster parent, there's a lot of questions and things that you have to go through, and that opens up the door to communication in ways that you probably I don't think it would be a typical conversation you would have with your spouse as to but we have grown tremendously in that, and I think that has helped us be able to provide and help as many kids as we have in our home. Yeah, there were some conversations that we've had that I've never in a million years would have thought we've had, but it's definitely brought, like I said, it's really kind of strengthened that communication that we have, and has helped us, I think, in that long run.
I think anytime you're overcoming challenges together, you're going to become stronger together in anything, in business or, on the Survivor Island. It doesn't matter. If we're doing it together, we're going to get stronger that way. And I'm glad you were able to take advantage of that and do that. And I'm interested, we don't have your kids on camera with us, and we're not going to try. I hope it's not unfair for me to ask your nuclear family, your kids that I'm not sure the right way to put it, that the non-foster kids. Mm-hmm. If I were to ask them now, what do you think about being a sibling to some foster kids? How has the last 4 years been for you? What would they say? What do you think they would say?
They still talk about, quite a few of them on all the time. And they just, again, they accept them just like any sibling, like that they've been here since day one, and it's been, they've been there the whole time, and it's not been any different, which makes the goodbyes that much harder, but they enjoy it, and they really have an understanding for the compassion and empathy towards others, and having some struggles that we may not have experienced. That might be coming from the older one, maybe not the younger ones, but they do really, really, like I said, they like having the we call them bonus kiddos.
Good.
So yeah, they're my bonus kiddos. They're mine. They really enjoy having them, and when they're here, and just welcoming them with open arms. And it's not easy having somebody come in that's not been here, but they come in, they invite them into everything, include them right away, start asking questions like, oh, what's your favorite thing? What do you like to do? And it's just really seeing them with the bonus kiddos really again, that's that feeling that you're just like, okay, all right, like, this is why we do what we do. And this is why we help bridge that gap for these kiddos in that time, because having those siblings, if you will, there, I think also helps with them just kind of coming in and just relaxing and kind of like, okay, I can kind of go with the flow and see what they're doing to know, like, am I on the right path or not? Like, you know, they kind of show them the ropes to kind of like help them, you know, because like I said, we do have a farm. So there's animals and things that sometimes may not always necessarily be something that kids are used to. But they really enjoy it, and they have been on board from day one with this.
And we've talked a lot about your initial concern for how it would impact your family. We've talked about how your family has responded. We've talked about the opportunities for becoming closer. If you had to guess or hope what the bonus kiddos might say, looking back at your decision to bring them in, what do you hope or think that they might say?
I'd hope that they say that they knew they were loved, that they enjoyed their time here, that they, you know, ultimately you want them to feel safe and loved and cared for. That's our goal with doing this. And, you know, hope that stays with them, and that they obviously continue to keep feeling those feelings. And, you know, you look back, and I hope that they all enjoyed their time and spending it here with us. You know, I know it's not always every kid's wish to come to a new house, but, you know, like, while they're here, I hope that they enjoyed it. They felt loved, they felt cared for, and they felt safe.
And as we wrap up, there are people listening now that are trying to, as we said at the beginning of the show, trying to decide whether to look into this a little deeper. They're a little bit concerned, not quite sure if it's right for them. What would your overall advice be for someone who's in that position, coming from someone like you that's done it well? What would your advice be to them to do next?
Reach out.
Yeah.
Our Medina County is awesome. I love working with them. Everybody in the office is phenomenal. They answer any questions. They provide any knowledge, any question you could have. Like, reach out. I'm sure, you know, they do some things like where foster families are present, so that you can ask them questions, because, you know, sometimes talking to a foster family is more helpful, I feel like. And so I just reach out and, you know, ask the questions, get the pamphlets. You know, if you have somebody or know somebody that, you know, is in it, you know, talk to them. I've communicated with quite a few people over the years that have found out that we are foster parents, and have like, oh, I have some questions. Absolutely. Like, we'll have a cup of coffee. I'll answer any questions. Like, because it seems scary, but I promise it is not as scary as it may seem. And it makes the difference. It really does.
And since you're suggesting that, let me ask one follow-up question. A listener might be thinking, oh man, as soon as I call, you know, I'm just going to get deluged with all kinds of needs. I know that there's a need. I know there's a need in Medina County. I know there's a need everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so the hope is that more people will click and sign in and ask more questions. But in your experience with Medina County JFS, was there ever any pressure? Did you ever feel like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have called because now I'm on a timeline? Or is there reason for someone to say, you know, I just don't think I want to call? Did it ever feel that way?
No.
Okay.
Not once. And they have been great from the beginning. We actually attended one of the, many years ago, they did it was a foster parent event at the agency to bring in or try to find families that might be interested. They had it like advertised all over the radio. And we went in and we got to sit down with them, and they kind of like would open it up to questions and things like that. And they took your information, but not once did I feel that they were ever like, oh, you have to do this. You need to sign up. We need this. We need that. No, it was a very like, they were there if you had questions, if you wanted, you know, maybe the next step. Or if you're like, oh, you know, I saw this, I would like more information. And then it was never pressured. It was never that sense of like, you have to do this. But if you're ready, we're here. We're ready and, you know, help you any step of the way.
Good. And since we're talking about it, I'm going to go ahead and give that information now in case someone is out there and wants to reach out and learn more. And that's the goal of this series, is to hopefully allay your fears enough that you'll make a step just to talk about it with someone. And the next step really is an easy one. It's just a conversation, like Destinee said. You can contact Lane Hedden. She is a foster parent recruiter with Medina County Job and Family Services. I know Lane well. She is an angel who walks the earth. She's a foster parent and has made it her life's work to help people like you decide what you should do for your family and for your unique situation, and then help you then with whatever that looks like. So you can contact Lane by calling or texting 330-667-0167, or you can email her at info@fostermedina.com. And so as we wrap up, Destinee, I just want to thank you. I know it's not easy to kind of go back and relive concerns and fears and issues. And I know you've lived a lot, and your bonus kiddos have lived a lot through you, and your family has changed. And I just thank you. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, and on behalf of MCJFS, just for your commitment to these kids. It's so important, and for sharing that story with others too. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
I'm really glad you were here. And folks, I've done a lot of podcasts, and this is going to prove to be one of my favorite endeavors. I hope that you, as a listener or a viewer, will pass this on to someone that you know that perhaps has found a calling on their heart to at least look into it. Perhaps you are the person that needs to look into it. And I highly suggest give a call, make a text, send an email, do that first thing. If no is the answer, then no is the answer. That's completely fine. But if you're even thinking about it, let me let you know this from experience. If you're thinking about it a little bit, it's not going to go away easily unless you kind of look into it just a little bit. So thank you very much for being a part of this show. Remember, our goal in this series isn't to talk you out of your concerns. It's to give you the confidence to reach out and discuss these concerns with us, and then make good decisions for you and your family about how you can make a difference in a young foster child's life. For more episodes, please subscribe. You can subscribe where you're watching it, on YouTube or wherever you find your favorite shows. Share it with a friend. Like I said, if you know someone that needs to know about it, or give us a like so people know that this show is worth listening to. And to learn more about foster care, adoption, and all of your options, you can visit fostermedina.com. Remember, if you're considering this step, your decision is going to make an impact one way or the other. Yes or no, it's going to have a ripple effect. And whether you do it or don't become a foster parent, that effect is lasting. We're glad you're taking the time to make the right choice. For the Foster Medina podcast, I am Bryan Lefelhoc. I am glad that you have been here, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Foster Medina podcast. We hope you found the answers you were looking for, and we'd love to talk to you more. To download the Foster Care Myths information sheet, click www.fostermedina.com. For more information or to contact us with questions, call or text 330-667-0167 or email info@fostermedina.com. The Foster Medina podcast is brought to you by Medina County Job and Family Services.